Joining us now, does a lot of great work covering the NBA. You hear him on Fox Sports Radio on this station. Mark Medina, kind enough to join us. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. All right, so I do, we have a little bit of an issue here with the Jazz, and I want to get your thoughts. I do not know where you stand on this, but it seems like the national media has kind of sunk its teeth into the Jazz for playing guys for 3 quarters and shutting them down in the fourth quarter. And it seems like had they just not played them at all, that would have been okay. But the fact that they're playing them and then not playing them in the fourth, that seems to be the line you're not allowed to cross.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Utah Jazz aren't the only team that has tanked this year and historically. But I think that there is a way to finesse it a little bit. If there are, real or slightly exaggerated injuries, or, you play more younger guys but not be completely obvious. I think it was the fact that they shut down, 2 pretty big guys in the entire fourth quarter. I think there's a way of accomplishing both, maximizing lottery odds, but not being so blatant about it. But I think to your point, the Jazz aren't the only team to do this, and certainly aren't the last, until the NBA tries to mitigate that. But the last thing I'll say is the NBA has tried to mitigate it. You've seen the play-in tournament, that's created more competition late in the season. The lottery odds themselves were built by design, that you don't necessarily guarantee a top pick for just the worst team, that there is some element of chance to it. But I think the main thing on why the Jazz behavior rubbed people the wrong way is that it was for the entire fourth quarter. It was also very early in the season. If this had taken place, next month, April, I don't think there would have been as much angst, but this is before the All-Star break. I mean, usually we start seeing bad basketball beginning with the All-Star game, not before it.
So you just got to be a little bit more subtle on how you do it, apparently, right?
Yeah, but also, I mean, I think that they can be one and the same, but they are different, not as blatant. Play young guys throughout the game, be more staggering with your rotation. If you're sitting guys for an entire quarter, that's blatantly obvious. I know that if you sit a guy for an entire game, that's even more. But, there are guys that have injuries that there's a validity to it. So I think it's more about not being so obvious, as well as the timing of it. Again, if this took place next month in April, I don't think there would be as much angst. But it's one of those things that, because a little bit with this play-in tournament, it's created this wider division of teams that really don't have a chance, and they've leaned into, okay, let's just be really, really bad. And for that to take place before the All-Star game, I think that's contributed to the frustration and criticism.
Well, and the other thing, too, is if there's a team that knows that tanking at a high level doesn't necessarily reward you in the long run, it's the Utah Jazz, because, hey, they had the worst record in the NBA, and they still picked 5th in last year's NBA draft. So, I mean, this is a team that's well aware that, hey, you know what? It may not work out for us if we tank at a high level. Yeah,
I mean, there's no easy answers to this, because, I know Jerry West, when the whole lottery system came out, he was poo-pooing it because he thought this was a celebration of losers. But you look at the San Antonio Spurs, right? They got Tim Duncan and Victor Wembanyama. These are generational talents, but there's also the other counterpoint that doesn't guarantee that you will get that top pick. And, teams that tend to be in the NBA draft, they tend to be there a lot of times as repeat offenders. So I suspect that because the NBA has continued to tinker with this over the years, they will do more things because of some of these recent examples, not just with the Jazz, but the Washington Wizards. So I think that what that is, it's hard to say, but I know that Adam Silver is here in LA for NBA All-Star Weekend. So hopefully he has, some concrete answers beyond lawyer speak and double talk.
So if you were Adam Silver and you could make any decision you want, what could you do to fix the lottery? Would you make even odds for everybody in the NBA? I mean, again, pie in the sky. I know that not everything can happen, but if you could just revamp the whole thing, how would you make it?
Yeah, it's tough because I think even odds make sense. The whole relegation with soccer makes sense, but I think that some teams will then argue, well, what about the hypothetical where, our star player all of a sudden has a season-ending injury? You're going to punish us for that? I think that as long as the NBA differentiates between external circumstances and internal dynamics, those two proposals could at least reduce it. But, yeah, there's no easy answers because you can't completely eliminate everything because at the end of the day, the league is going to create winners and losers. There's only one championship team. You have 30 teams, and it's possibly going to be 32 with expansion. By design, you're going to have bad teams, right? So
yeah.
It's not an easy solution. But, again, going back to Utah and some of these recent examples with other teams, it's more of the blatant severity of it and the timing of the season. Again, if this took place next month, April, wouldn't be as much angst about it.
Your initial thoughts when you saw the Jazz in the acquisition of Jaren Jackson, how do you feel like that trade went in terms of what they had to give up to get him, and how does that remake this team going forward?
Yeah, I thought it was a great deal. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a winning player, great defensive player. He has all those accolades. No one's going to mistake him for being the most lethal scorer, but he's very versatile with that. What this means moving forward, I can see that fit with Lauri Markkanen coexist, even in today's NBA where you go into smaller lineups. There's kind of a yin and a yang to that, and both players are very versatile that they can complement each other. But I think it also does give the Jazz flexibility that if there is a better deal out there, that there's more of a comfort level to include Lauri in that trade package. So I think it's a great move. Now it's a matter of let's play them in the fourth quarter so you don't get everyone up in arms about it.
Let's just say for the sake of argument, the Jazz hold on to Walker Kessler in restricted free agency. So you have a potential starting five lineup with a 7-footer in Kessler, and then you've got a player of the quality and the size at the 4 of Jaren Jackson, Lauri at the 3, Ace Bailey at the 2, and Keontae George at the 1. That's a massive starting lineup in terms of length. Just how much can that improve the Jazz, who have been pretty woeful defensively?
Yeah, I think it can do wonders, but it also goes both ways. That if you're playing small, they're going to be, overmatched a little bit. But the good thing is it's not going to be that dire because they still have a lot of athleticism on the floor. And the ironic part in today's NBA is that it is a copycat league. So now it's all about, you don't want these traditional big guys and all this size, but you always have to counteract what's the conventional wisdom in hopes that creates a competitive advantage. So what that means, where the Jazz are in the pecking order, I'm not labeling them an all-star team or, a playoff team right now, but they have the flexibility to, really package players together, including Walker Kessler, including Lauri Markkanen, and try to flip that into more talent here. But I think in the short term, from a basketball fit, it is, they can coexist, but it is a process to ensure that it results in actual wins.
So when you look at the market for Walker Kessler, restricted free agent, what do you – and again, I'm just asking you to spitball here, and I won't hold you to it, but what do you think the market is in terms of dollars per year for Walker Kessler?
Yeah, it's hard to answer. I don't know exact dollars a year. I just know, being out here in L.A., there's always a lot of talk about, the Lakers have interest in Walker Kessler, but I think they often shied away from it as well as other teams with the expectation that, they would get kind of a Rudy Gobert type of package in return. I don't think that's what the market is for him in a trade, but as it pertains to, contract free agency, I don't know the exact dollar figure, but I don't sense teams are about clearing up cap space just so they have him. It's more of one of those nice to have twos, but don't need them type of scenarios.
Mark Medina joining us. You hear him on Fox Sports Radio. Has been covering the NBA for a long, long time. Oklahoma City, you put them certainly as the best in the West. Denver, I would slot them at number 2. I'm just talking about my own personal power rankings. What do you do with Houston? Where does Houston fall in the mix in all of this?
Yeah, I think they're a wild card because we've seen them be really well, and we've also seen them still show the signs of young growing pains. There's a reason why Kevin Durant got frustrated without Bryn Sengun because of defensive effort and attitude. Where I rank the Rockets, I would put them at 4th right now because I'm with you. I have the Thunder at 1st. Denver, I have it 2nd because Jokic is back and they have more of the experience continuity. But I think the Spurs are the real deal. I don't think they're overwhelmed because of their youth. They have a good blend of hungry, talented young guys that are about the right things with Wembanyama and Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper. But they have good vets with De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes. But the only reason I don't have them ahead of Denver is not because I think that they'll be overwhelmed with the playoff moment. It's just from a tactical standpoint, they don't have the same familiarity as the Nuggets do and the Thunder. But the Rockets, I thought that they would be a lot more consistent, but this is what happens when you try to blend youth with an established veteran. Sometimes you go through these growing pains. The Lakers could eclipse them because Luka Doncic is that special a player, and Austin Reeves is back, but they've been pretty flawed defensively that I expect that they'll stay at 5th.
What do you do if you're running the Golden State Warriors and you want to keep, this nostalgic factor of the team together, but it's probably in your best interest to tear it down and start rebuilding that thing up? How do you balance, treating, guys like Steph Curry and honoring them and who they are, but also knowing that, you're going to have to turn the corner here sooner or later?
Yeah, well, through hits and misses, I don't think the Warriors have been hamstrung on nostalgia factor. I mean, they didn't keep Klay Thompson. They parted ways with Andre Iguodala. It's about what do you get in return. And so they made it clear that they're willing to trade Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and a package for Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks just weren't interested, even when they were including draft picks and some young players and Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield. And so when Mike Dunleavy is saying, we didn't get that far and Draymond wasn't part of the discussions, I think it's more of semantics that it wasn't part of the discussions because the Bucks weren't interested. But, as soon as there's a better deal, they'll do it. And Steph Curry is still playing at an all-star caliber level. He's not playing at all-star weekend because of an injury, but, he's still the real deal. So it's about packaging the best talent around him in hopes that he can still win a championship. And so right now they've been leaning on their current roster because that's the best with what they have, available. And I know talking with Draymond earlier last week, he hopes he can still play another 2-4 years. He's really good defensively. But if there are better opportunities to make in deals, the Warriors will do it. It takes two to tango, and it's easier said than done to find the right deal as they've experienced these last few trade deadlines and off seasons with negotiations.
We got a couple games of a sample size under our belt, but when I say long term, I mean long term this season. How do you think James Harden fits in with Cleveland?
Yeah, I think it could go really well. It could also blow up in their face. Why it could go well is that he's still playing at an all-star caliber level. He wants to win a championship. I think in the short term, he's shown historically he can coexist with other ball-dominant players, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. But here's where you have skepticism. In the playoffs, he doesn't show up consistently because of health or just shrinking from the moment. And eventually, long-term, there is a feeling that he's more comfortable being the main guy, and Donovan Mitchell is the main guy. Now, in Donovan's case, he is what, Kenny Atkinson considers to be a selfless superstar where, he wants to make guys comfortable, whether it's, Evan Mobley or Jared Allen or Darius Garland when he was with the team and bring out the best of him. But make no mistake, they're expecting Donovan to carry the team, take the last shot. But I think all things considered, when you look at all the different dynamics with the Clippers and the Cavs, it makes sense why they did what they did. Even with the question marks I outlined with Harden, I think the Cavs had even more question marks about Darius Garland with his health. He's had different injuries. With the Clippers, even though they've had this late season run, it's really only enough to set them up to make it through the play-in tournament. They want to have cap flexibility this summer and next summer to potentially build more around Kawhi Leonard. And Darius Garland, yes, he has injury history, but he's at least younger. So in theory, there won't be as much concerns about long-term durability as there would have been with Harden. But, as I outline this could also blow up in the Clippers' face as well, because Garland, yes, he's expected, I've been told, to come back after the All-Star break, but his injury history these last few years is his injury history. And, so understand, again, why the move was made. It could work, but it very well could backfire for either team.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you coming on. We'll agree to disagree on the whole Jazz fourth quarter situation. I totally understand your stance on it. I know people here in Utah are defending their team as well. I am as well. I just, but I do agree. I do appreciate your stance and coming on and answering the questions about it.
Of course. Hey, I'll give you some red meat. What the Jazz did, it's so bad for the NBA. It's so egregious.
You know what? Lloyd was rolling on that, and we'll spin that clip and just play it over and over and over again coming out the rest of the day.
I hope the tongue-in-cheek tone was caught there.
Oh, for sure. Thanks, Mark. You're the best.
All right, take care.
You got it. Mark Medina from Fox Sports Radio, as well as covering the NBAs with Athlon and others.